So I found this week's discussion on John Locke's white paper theory to be really interesting. It's really hard for me to call it the white paper theory because I've always called it Tabula Rasa, and it just doesn't stick the other way. But anyway, it was really interesting to me because we all kind of had similar opinions. A couple of us brought up like childhood development as an example. However, there were a couple of really interesting comments that I hadn't considered. One was about how, yes, what we learn is based on experience, but because everyone's brain functions differently, everyone's slate or paper is made out of slightly different material. And I thought that was a really good analogy, because two people, like they said in their post, it can experience the exact same thing, but learn a different thing from it. And I think that they were right. Locke's theory doesn't really kind of account for that, but I don't think he was trying to. He was basically just saying that, what we learn from our sensory input and our experience. Not how we learn it or what we learn from it. However, it kind of ties into the other thing that I thought was interesting, which was tying the theory into the nature versus nurture debate, which was not something I had considered, because to me, nature versus nurture kind of encompasses everything. My cats like to learn, I guess. And Locke wasn't really accounting for things like genetics, I think, and behaviors. It was mostly just focused directly on the acquisition of knowledge. However, they did mention, Locke did mention that, he didn't believe that anyone was born with like an innate code of ethics or sense of morals or a belief in God. And I absolutely agree with not being born with a belief in God. However, the example I gave was like, I have, as an autistic individual, I've come to learn, this is a typical thing for neurodivergent people, a very powerful and innate sense of justice, to the point where something that I perceive as unfair is infuriating. And that's not something I was taught. It's just always been a part of who I am since I was a kid. And so to me, nature and nurture they both have an impact in our development. So I have trouble kind of equating nature versus nurture with the blank slate theory, because maybe one disproves the other. I don't know. But it was a very interesting thing to think about, and really kind of helped bring home the idea that Locke was trying to get across. Thank you.